Hi, I'm Stephanie McIntyre, and everyone knows it's been just one hell of a week for the Diocese of Buffalo, and so I'm just going live just to, I don't even know what, but I'm going to wait, see if we get some people in here, and I've got some things to do to share this on my own page, but anybody who's watching, feel free to share your anger and frustration that you're having with what's going on with everything in the Catholic Church, but particularly the Diocese of Buffalo and how it's representing just the absolute horror of what's going on with the Catholic Church. This is not acceptable. And it's just, normally I'm the kind of person who jokes a lot. Today I'm having a hard time doing that. A really hard time. And when your body is just trying to figure out what to do with the tremendous amount of sadness and pain that's been put onto you, struggling at the same time with very righteous anger, it's just, I mean, it's a schizophrenic thing to have happening. And I mean, I don't even know what to do with this. And I don't think anybody knows. And all the people in Buffalo, I mean, I just feel terrible for them. I just finished watching the press conference with the bishop, and as expected, it was really a total joke. I don't know. You guys can just sit here and watch me be angry and stressed about this, and while I right now try to figure out how to make sure that it is on our Recovering Survivors page. A lot of you people who are joining right now, you joined us when we were St. Benedict's Catholic Store. My husband and I came back to the church, and not only did we come back to the church, but we actually opened a Catholic store. What were we thinking, right? Yep. And so there's like 21,000 followers here, and I know a lot of you don't want to watch this stuff. You came to see Catholic store stuff. That's what you want to see. You want to see what good Catholics do or how to be stronger Catholics. Well, I don't know what to tell you anymore. I mean, I'll always be Catholic, I guess, because you can't undo sacraments. But with what's going on right now, I'll never go back to the church. I can't. I just don't see it happening. So I thought I'd be able to see what's going on my laptop. You know, you'd think that I'm pretty good with tech, and just while we're waiting for people to get in here, I thought, well, I'll just pull it up and I'll be able to see what's going live. But you know what? When you don't start it from your laptop, you start it from your cell phone, that means it's not on your laptop. Not until you're like all done with the whole thing, and then you can publish it. So a lot of my friends on my page don't know that I'm live, and that's probably good, because who really wants to see me? Not me, I can tell you that. But so the bishop just held his press conference because the Diocese of Buffalo has declared bankruptcy. Everybody knew it was coming, but that's how they're going to deal with the whole problem, is they're just going to go bankrupt. And you know, that means that a whole lot of victims are never going to get the full story of their abuse made public, because discovery is going to be affected now. And the bankruptcy attorney is throwing out all this BS saying, oh, there's going to be even more discovery. There won't be more discovery. We've already heard all the excuses that we could possibly hear. There's not going to be anything happening. We're done waiting. And I'm very thankful that I made the decision to accept the settlement. I don't think we're even allowed to call it that. the independent, so-called independent reconciliation compensation program offered me some money last year, end of 2018, and finally gave it to me last year. The only reason I took it was because I knew that if I didn't accept that, my abuser would still not be on the list. He would still be active. And I already know that a 13-year-old, I think she was 13 years old, I don't know, some young girl had come forward after my case was made public, and whatever he did to her, the district attorney said it was creepy but not criminal. However, he said that he hoped that he would never be around children and that he would never say a mass again. Well, guess what? On Monday, after being removed from ministry, supposedly, and case will be sent to Rome, according to the Diocese of Buffalo website, my abuser was allowed to put on his little collar again, join the boys, and go to concelebrate Mass with Bishop Scharfenberger. Those who aren't Catholic probably don't even know what that means. But concelebrating a Mass with the bishop is a big effing deal. And it's the kind of thing that I would think that a priest who's been removed from ministry would not be able to do. But what am I thinking? We're talking the Diocese of Buffalo here. They apparently can do whatever they want to do. So, the hell with all of us victims, the hell with all you Catholics, the hell with our families. We're not supposed to matter. It doesn't matter. As long as that priest got to be himself and he got to join his friends and he got to play priest again with the bishop. They called it a mass. It was a penance mass. So I don't know when concelebrating the Mass with a bishop, having that kind of honor, when did that become penance? Because when I think of penance, I think of a lot of things, but being honored by the bishop is not one of the things I think of. I don't know, that's just me. You know what else happened at that meeting? This other priest, Father Art Smith, this disgusting pervert who's been accused by numerous men, who also sexually assaulted a seminarian, who is now a good priest. That guy was also allowed to come to the little shindig. So imagine, you're a priest, you've been sexually assaulted by a pervert priest who's some disgusting scumbag, and you're trying to put this behind you. You were silenced by your boss, by the diocese. You were silenced by everybody who is in charge. I mean, you're going to seminary. You're living in this country. You're from Poland. You're living in this country only because you're going through seminary, because you feel called to be one of Christ's men, to be a priest. And you're sexually assaulted. You're laying in your bed, and a guy crawls into bed and starts kissing your neck and grabbing your genitals. So, thankfully, after lots of pushing and shoving, the diocese finally figured out that this guy actually is a bad guy. So guess what? We're going to put him on that little list. The list says, just like my abuser Mariansky, it says, removed from ministry 2018, case will be sent to Rome. Far as I know, it's like February 2020 right now. I don't know, I kind of lose track of time, but it feels like it's been a long time since they said they're going to send it to Rome. I wonder what's involved with sending a case to Rome, because clearly they seem to have trouble doing it. And I wonder if this bankruptcy is going to affect it, because, you know, is that going to mean that the people who would actually work on this project to actually type up these reports and send them off to Rome, that maybe they can't afford to have them now? I don't know. But here's the thing. Imagine this. This guy's abuser is finally on the list, just like me. And it took a long time, and that was very painful waiting for that. And then he's called in by the bishop to come to this meeting. A mass, a meeting, a little lunch, with all the, something like 150 other priests that are in the diocese. And while he's there, the guy who sexually assaulted him actually has the ability to come up to him and nuzzle next to him in his face and say really creepy things like, I still love you, I didn't mean it that way, let's work this out. Oh my freaking God, are you kidding me? This is how good priests are treated, and this is how bad priests are treated in the Diocese of Buffalo? I'm not okay with this. I don't understand it. And I'm so angry that I want to punch a wall. Normally, I just joke around when I'm angry. But there's a combination of this anger and this sadness, and I don't know what to do with this feeling. I got my drums back there. That helps a little bit. Yelling, they say yelling doesn't really help. Yelling just makes you worse. Makes you kind of just, it actually chemically changes you into even more angry. So you don't really want to do that. So I'm just here, so I don't even know what else to do. I mean, what are the people of Buffalo, what are the Catholics across the whole world supposed to do about this? Because Buffalo is clearly a case that is showing like a precedence of how we should handle these things. And we had one bad bishop, and we all knew Bishop Malone wasn't the only bad guy. It's just that you have to go after the guy that's in charge right now. And he was the guy. And so now we have another guy, same as the old guy, just a different face. And that response that the diocese sent out to those of us who were just, I mean, I can't even explain to you what happened the night when I found out that my abuser was able to go put his collar back on. Hey boys, I'm here. Want to do a round of golf on Thursday if it's nice out? What the hell? I mean, what the hell? This is penance that he gets to concelebrate a mass. I guess with the bishop, okay? That's a big deal. There were a lot of other guys there, just so you know. There were a lot of priests there. They didn't all concelebrate mass with the bishop. No. Only those who probably were special. The guys who were special, you know, like Bishop Grosch's little friends. I don't know if you guys know this, but it's really interesting that the class of 1971 includes Bishop Grosch, who seems to cover for all of his little buddies, writer, who I won't even go into the details of that. Just look up Dennis Ryder and see what comes up in your feed. Be ready to throw up. Art Smith, who got to sexually harass a fellow priest just last Monday because he was invited to the party. Fred Lysing, who grabbed me and shoved his tongue down my throat when I was 19 years old. So that doesn't matter because I was an adult, you know? 19-year-old me, all grown up, I should be able to just accept it when a guy wants to grab me, a priest, and says, hey, do you want to say goodbye to Father Fred? And they grab you and they shove their drunk tongue down your throat. You're supposed to just see, like, that's nice, how special I am. And number 5, Father Fabian Mariansky, the Polish Prince of Barker. Well, everybody loved Father Fabian, and some people still love him. And you know what? To you people who love him, I know why you love him. I know why you love him. Because he's really, really good at getting people to love him and believe him. Yep. When I was being abused by him myself, there was a combination of fear of just what people were going to say or think about him even. I was worried for him. Instead of myself, I was worried for him. I also didn't want people to lose their faith. What if they found out this guy was doing this? What would they think? Well, I now know that a lot of people are really hurt by it, just like I was in our family. And I'm sorry for that, even though it's not my fault. And those people who can't let it go, I'm sorry for you too. Because it's something that you may never be able to do. And that's okay. It's okay. You know what? Because even these bad guys, they need defenders. But you don't have to be one if you don't want to be, and I'm not going to be one. And I wish I could tell everybody up there how you should handle this, how you could get out of this mess, you know, because there's got to be an answer. But one thing's for absolutely certain. It is not going to come from the hierarchy of the church. It's not going to come from the priests either. You know why? Because there are a lot of bad priests, but even the good ones are not allowed to talk. And when they do, they're reprimanded or silenced for it. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to name names, but there are a couple of priests. No, there's more than a couple, but I know of at least one priest in Buffalo who is just an all-around nice guy, a good and holy priest who has stood up against this, and he's done it publicly on social media, and he's been told to shut it. As I say, take it to Shutsville. I gotta laugh about something. But you know what? He's been told to shut his mouth. He's not allowed to talk. So don't wait for your good priests to talk, because they're not going to. They can't talk. Because when good priests talk, they get punished. Bad priests are allowed to concelebrate the Mass. Bad priests are allowed to go and hang out with the very priest that they sexually abused in seminary. I'm at a loss. I'm at a total loss. Normally, I don't even talk on the telephone. And today, I'm talking on here live because I know that so many people are feeling the same way I am. They're angry and they're sad and they want answers. And the only answer I can give you that I can see is that it seems to me that if anything is going to change, it has to happen through the laity. And when I say laity, you don't have to be a Catholic to be laity. It just means you're not in the hierarchy. You're not the priests, you're not the cardinals, and you're not the bishops, you're not any of these people. The Pope, who right now I consider as useless as all of them, but I have to admit I wasn't a fan when he came in, even so, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. But it's the laity and it's the media. I actually didn't watch the news for 25 years because I thought it was ridiculous to feed myself with just a stream of stuff that was coming at me that somebody else put through their own filter. And I decided I didn't need it. And you know what? Those were some good years. I still knew what was going on, especially once I had Facebook. You can't avoid knowing what's going on. You're always going to know what's going on. Somebody's going to tell you, and you're going to know what you need to know, not everything that comes down the pike. And that's actually better, because we don't need to know everything that's happening all the time. It's actually pretty unhealthy. But then all this stuff happened, and in 2018, in May of 2018, when my abuse finally became front page news, that was really hard for me. And my whole life got ripped apart. We were running a Catholic store. We were going to Latin Mass every Sunday. I thought I could trust in the church again. I thought I had found some good priests. And then Bishop Malone came out and he said, if you're out there and you're a victim and you're hurting, and he looked at me with those big eyes and that smile and he said, call us, we can help you, we want to walk with you, we want to help you. He didn't want to do anything. Only thing he wanted to do was to get the few people that he knew, like me, who had already filed before, to come forward so he could pay us off and get us out of the way and shut us up. And today, I'm not going to be shut up anymore. Because that day, I didn't know what to do. And I just broke down. And I was crying. And Kip wasn't home. When he came home, he was at the church learning. And when he came home and he saw me crying, he was like, what's wrong? Why are you, what's going on? What happened? I mean, he thought somebody died. Somebody did die. In a way. And he watched the video. I said, this is what's going on. And he watched the video and he saw what Bishop Malone was saying. And he said, what do you think? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And he said, we're doing this. And I went and I dug out an old folder that I had hidden far away because I didn't want to see it anymore. It was a folder that had a lot of stuff in it. Pictures of Fabe, letters, documents from psychologists and all that. And when I read it to him, he said, you're in the same place right now that you were then. Nothing has changed. This could have been written yesterday. And so he said, we're doing this. Here we were running a Catholic store, going to the Latin Mass, 21,000 followers on Facebook, people that depended on me to put up motivational Catholic teaching and messages, and people that relied on us in the store that Kip would spend hours with trying to evangelize to. People coming in saying they left the church because of the abuse crisis. And us defending the church and defending the priests because we thought we were doing what was right. Despite what happened in my case. And when people would say, what happened? And I would say nothing. They would say, well, how can you be Catholic? And I would say, because I trust that God will sort this out later. And that the Catholic Church just handled everything the way every business handles it. They did everything that they could. I would quote the statistics of how few priests it was. I did all those things. Guess what? I was wrong. I was so wrong. And I now realize that during those years, when I was covering up for others, for the bad priests, that I was actually hurting fellow victims. People who still won't come forward today. You guys have no idea, you priests, you bishops, you have no idea how hard it is for a victim to come forward. And then when they do, they're accused of just looking for an easy payday. I mean, my God, you think you can pay for what we've lost? You can't pay for the fact that I don't have children. You can't pay for the fact that I don't have grandchildren, that we don't even have very many friends because nobody wants to even deal with us because, well, now we're anti-Catholic. I'm not anti-Catholic. The word Catholic means universal. This is not the church that Christ built. This is a church that men have infected with their disgusting poison. A whole class full of men. 1971 class at Christ the King. How in the hell did these guys pass and get into this class? Why were they not weeded out? How do you not find that? Or were these guys fine and you guys just created them into monsters by your processing? I don't know. But I'm really sad and I'm angry. And the thing that hurts me the most, and the reason I keep speaking about this, it's not for me. I hate being public. I hate speaking about this. I want to move on with my life. But you know what? There are people who are not ever going to be able to hear any justice, see anything. They're not even going to come forward because they're shut down. Right here in South Carolina. You know what? Just to give you a replay of what my last week has been. After 30-something years of waiting for my case to be on the other side of this case, and to get to the point where I felt like I had a little bit of strength. Last Thursday, I held a press conference in which Siobhan O'Connor flew down from New York, and Mary Jo came from Colombia, and we had a few other people come, and we had someone help videography and everything, and we were standing out in the freezing cold rain for one reason. Because in South Carolina, there's no media here to talk about this. There's no media here to uncover what's going on. I'm hoping that's going to change because we're now speaking about it. But they just are washing over everything that's going on down here. We have a problem here too. Maybe fewer Catholics, but there's a problem. And our own bishop, Guglielmone, who is a sitting bishop, this is the most insane thing in the world. He's a sitting bishop. Last August 2019, I made the trek up to New York, and when we arrived, the very first thing I found out through the news was that our bishop down here in South Carolina had just been named in a lawsuit for sexually abusing an 8-year-old boy in the Diocese of Rockville Center, New York, Amityville, New York, to be exact, when he was a priest. All of a sudden, our bishop is under this spotlight, and people are jumping to his defense, especially one particular priest, Father J. Scott Newman, who's actually the dean of our area and seems to speak for all priests down here. We then find out that Bishop Guglielmone has actually been under investigation, ordered by the Vatican, since August of 2018. For an entire year, Catholics and everybody down here did not have any word, it was completely kept secret, that our own bishop was under investigation for sexual abuse of an 8-year-old boy. What other organization in the entire world, I mean really, think about it, tell me, I'd like to know, what other organization would allow a person who's been accused. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. We don't know that yet. But we do know that the church's own statistics are that only 1.5% of cases are patently false. So 98.5% chance that the bishop could have done this. But either way, just the suspicion of something this atrocious, sexual abuse of an 8-year-old boy, how on earth can this bishop not be removed? And so last year when this finally came out and we were all allowed to hear about it because the person who was abused actually filed a suit because of the Child Victims Act passing. So on August 15th, he filed that suit. And that very same day, our bishop, he may as well, that was a little Freudian slip there, actually, because I think that probably Father J. Scott Newman probably thinks he's going to be the bishop soon. He's certainly friends with him, and friends enough. It's fine if he wants to publicly support his friend, or privately support his friend, Bishop Robert Guglielmone. That's fine. I would expect that you would privately support somebody. If a priest I knew who was a good priest was accused of something, I would probably privately support them because I care about them. I mean, I don't want anything bad to even happen to my own abuser. But you can't publicly stand on the altar and then publish that homily publicly and then publish an open letter exonerating this bishop. And not only that, calling the victim a liar out for an easy payday. Nobody brings these claims forward because they want an easy payday. There's no damn easy payday. They're lucky if they even feel a slight amount of justice or relief in hearing that somebody believes them about what happened. Never mind any kind of monetary compensation. How do you put a dollar amount on somebody's life? My life is not what it was supposed to be. You make the best out of your life that you can, but a lot of people don't make it through this. That's why they use the term victim survivor. Because some days victims still feel like victims. And like right now, for everything that's happened this last week, after me standing outside in the freezing cold rain, just to draw attention to the fact that what Father J. Scott Newman said was so wrong, all I wanted was for him to apologize and to retract what he said, those terrible words about that victim. Because I know what it's like when you're a victim and you've already lived this terrible life of guilt and pain, and maybe you've kept it a secret your whole life. Maybe the people closest to you don't know, but of course it affects everything. It's like a cancer. You can't just pretend you don't have it. And people get into drugs, they get into bad habits, they make poor life choices. They do all these things because of what happened to them with a man who represented God. There's no bigger betrayal. There's no bigger betrayal. So all we wanted was to seek justice for that one victim, but not just that one victim, but in the name of all victims. And no, there has been no response from Father Newman. I'm sorry not answering you guys. I have a really hard time. I'd have to get really close. I have bad eyesight. But I do see, has there been any response from Father Newman? And you know what? No. And that makes me sad. Because it means that this isn't the end of the battle. It means I'm going to have to go back out there again. And I don't know how many times that's going to happen, but I can tell you that we're not going to stop. We're not going to go away. You can't pay us to go away. You can't shut us up. If you shut me up, you'll have to kill me to do it. And if you do that, somebody else will speak in my place. This game of moving priests around and just pretending that victims don't matter, and then putting out these statements of, oh, I'm so sorry you were hurt. You don't care about us. We know that. And we're not going to let this continue anymore. The secret is over. game's up. And I used to respect Father Newman. He's a tough guy. He's got a lot of connections. He's got lots of parishioners who really, really love him. And I would call them sycophants, because after we did our press conference, which we did very peacefully, and if you want, you can go to look for the video. It's on this page, and it's probably on my private page. It's public, though. All we were asking for is for him to retract those words. We were not accusing the bishop, because we don't know the truth. All we want is the truth. But one thing we do know is you cannot attack the alleged victim. And if you check out, there's a document called Vos Estis that the Pope released in, I think it was June of last year. And look up those words, V-O-S-E-S-T-I-S, Vos Estis. In Article 5, it really clearly states, it's a real short letter. It's nothing really hard to figure out. But it states that anybody who comes forward with a claim that they were abused needs to be treated with respect and dignity, and that their good name be protected. Father Newman didn't care about that. Not at all. In the letter and in 2 homilies, he's attacked this guy. And when he attacked that guy, he attacked all of us. And that's why we're speaking out. And for saying that, just for saying that you can't do that to victims. We were attacked by fellow Catholics who love Father Newman, I guess, and love the bishop, and have said that they will stand by him, even if there's a 99% chance that he's guilty, they'll still stand by him. One of them is a teacher, a Catholic school teacher. And I challenged her and said, because I'm really concerned. If you feel that way, what if one of your students comes up to you and says that they are sexually abused? Are you going to say, well, I know that person and I just don't really believe you, so let's not do anything about this. Let's not report it. That's the reality we're looking at here. If you're saying that, and I just don't get it. So we've been attacked for being truthful. But the anger and the vitriol that's been thrown at us, we're going to hell apparently. We're no longer saved, because there's no way to do that if we're criticizing the church and we've left the church. I can't go to Mass. I'm not going to Mass because I don't want to go to Mass. I'm not going to Mass because I struggled to try to go to Mass through all of 2018. And by the end of it, my body couldn't take it anymore. Physically, mentally, to just put yourself into a trauma. I was sexually abused before and after Masses when I was a lector. So I know, for me, when I go to Mass, I literally have to, and there's no way to stop these intruding thoughts. I've tried it. I've tried everything with going to Mass and trying to get these things out of my head. But imagine, you're being sexually abused in the rectory, and then he finishes up, washes his armpits, shaves, puts on his collar, and you're there watching him. You're even helping him put his collar on. Then we walk over to the sacristy, and I help vest him. And then I stand on the altar, and I look at him, and I listen to him, and I'm crying, and I don't know how to get out of it. I don't know how to get away from this man, because everybody idolizes him, even my own family. And he helped separate me from my family by saying things like, if you knew what your father did. He'd heard my father's confession. My father had come back to Mass after I don't know how many years away. He'd heard a confession, and he decided to use that against me and my dad. Separated me from my family. To this day, there are issues with me and my family that are caused by my abuser. This gets tiring talking about this stuff. And you guys are probably tired of hearing about it. Thank you, Siobhan. I know, I'm very thankful. I don't want to sound like I'm complaining, because honestly, I couldn't be more thankful for all the really great people that have come into my life over the last 2 years, especially fellow victims and survivors. And to all those that haven't survived, and to all those that feel like victims today, right now, who are just, that no psychiatrist and no medication can numb out what's going on, whenever I'm strong enough to do it, I'm going to continue to speak for you. And I'm not going to shut up. No matter how many times I'm told by those people who want us to go away to shut up, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to make me shut up. And I don't think you can. Because you know what? We're on the right side of truth here. This isn't the wrong battle, this is the right battle. And to every person who is advocating for victims out there and still continuing to struggle to hold on to going to Mass, man, I gotta give it to you, because I sure couldn't do it. But I'm thankful for you, because you're the ones who are going to change the church. Like it or not, we're part of church history at this point. Not something I ever thought would happen. Not in my life. And sadly, I don't know if we're ever going to see the fruits of what we're trying to do in our lifetime. I don't know, maybe we will. That would be wonderful. But it doesn't matter. I don't have to ever hear from another victim or see anybody or get any kind of recognition for anything. I don't want that. I just want to do what's right, and I want to keep speaking about it and trying to help other people understand just how much we've all gone through. This cross, everybody's got a cross. Nobody's cross is heavier than anybody else's. It's all relevant to the person. But I can tell you that this cross has damn near killed me time and time again. And here we are on a Friday. This is when the Diocese of Buffalo likes to drop their bombs, Fridays. Surprised you didn't wait till 5 o'clock, because usually they like to put out their little posts and reports at 5 o'clock when you can't do anything about it. But I guess you can't hide a bankruptcy. But yeah, here we are, starting the week with the absolute hell of allowing these substantiated abusers, substantiated sexual predator priests, were invited, along with all the other priests, to a meeting, to concelebrate Mass together, to a luncheon. That was Monday. And the outrage has just been going through the entire week. I mean, there are, thankfully, some good journalists have taken that and written about it. I think we haven't even scratched the surface of just how much this has hurt people. Thank you to those people that are commenting, and I wish I knew what to tell you to help us all get through this. I wish I had the answer. I wish so many things. But I've got no faith left in the church. That's over. I have faith in a few good and holy priests that I know of, because there are some. But sadly, there are more than there should be that are bad, and the ones that are being silent The question is, why are they silent? Are they silent because they're worried about some sort of repercussion? I mean, that's understandable. But if they became priests to represent Christ, do you think that Christ would remain silent if this stuff was happening? Because I don't. I wish I knew what to tell you, what you can do to help. One of my biggest fears was always that I would drag other people away from the church when I left. And that's something I could control. It's something that's reality. And my own husband, who is the only person I've ever known in my life, who loved going to Mass so much. He looked forward to it. And he dragged himself to Mass over and over again without me. And I told him, please keep going for me. But he'd come home crying because time and time again, something was said or nothing was said. And sometimes it was the worst things that were said. Pray for the priests. Pray for the priests, they said. Not pray for the victims. Pray for those priests who have been accused. Yeah, we need to pray for the priests, but we also have to pray for the victims and their families. And Kip finally couldn't go anymore. And that was one of the hardest days of our lives. And it's still not an easy thing. And he's got to deal with that. And I have to deal with it because you know what? He left because of me. He left because of me. And I don't want you to leave because of me. One of the biggest things I worry about is other people leaving because of me. That's why I spent 6 years telling people in the Catholic store to stay. You can't leave Jesus. All those things people are saying to me right now, I said them. I had every line you have. The gates of hell shall not prevail. Of course they won't. But that doesn't mean the Catholic Church is not going to be torn to the ground before it can be built up again. And I think that's what's going to happen. I mean, and for those of you who are sticking it out, your prayers matter. And your masses that you offer for everybody matter. Thank you, Siobhan. I don't know how not to let it burden me. I don't know how to not feel pain knowing that other people are leaving because of me or other victims or just this whole abuse crap. And that's why I'm so sad, and then I get so angry because I don't know what to do. Well, guys, I think I've bored you enough, and I've cried enough for one day, publicly. It's probably not my best look. Not that I really care anymore. Well, I guess all I can say is thank you to everybody who is hanging on. Thank you to everybody who's fighting. Thank you for everybody who's standing up for victims who can't speak, because I tell you, I just sense there are so many more than we ever will know about. Most people are never going to come forward. And I understand why they're not going to. I don't blame them one bit. How do you tell your family something that you've been keeping secret for maybe 40 or 50 years or even 30 years, whatever, you know? How do you just bring that up? Oh, by the way, I'm one of those people. Yeah. Bishop Scharfenberger said today he didn't want the abused priests to feel like pariahs because they might act out and do something bad. If that's the case, maybe they should be in jail. You know who feels like a pariah? Me. Victims, we feel like pariahs. Those words today from Bishop Scharfenberger don't bring any comfort at all. Dear God, send us somebody who will bring us comfort, because these guys aren't going to do it. And you know what? That prayer is already being answered, because so many of you out there, and including my fellow victims and survivors, who are working together, joining each other, fighting this, supporting each other. That's what's going to change things. I don't wear jewelry normally, but I bought this little tiny bee because that priest, Father Rijard, who was sexually assaulted, in my opinion, again last Monday by his abuser, he's a beekeeper. And this little bee right here, it represents not just Father Rijard, but all the victims who are being silenced. Those of us who can speak, we're going to speak for you. Thank you, Robin. Thank you to anybody who's willing to stay and fight. Please do that as long as you can. I don't encourage anybody to leave the church. That's not going to be the answer either. See that right there? That's big old Moses. Moses is telling me I've talked way too long, and you know, maybe I should just introduce him and let him take over now. Thank you guys, for everybody, for doing everything you can to try to make things better. It's gonna get better. I know it's gonna get better. I love you all. Thanks for watching, and God bless you. Bye.